All right, so we're on to topic 3. I'm Binbin again, and up here who'll join me on exploring what the future of energy citizen would be is George, also part of Holistic, a really important part of our team. So if we can maybe get the slides up. Great, thank you so much. We'll be talking mostly about a couple of outcomes from ENCLUDE's project, separate from the modeling, separate from the qualitative social science research. We want to also discuss with you what kinds of outputs we wanted to make directly available to citizens themselves. This links a lot to what Tessa was mentioning earlier about how do we use all this information to engage citizens directly. And that's what we'll very briefly address in this particular presentation. And so our bit will be divided basically into how has already ENCLUDE mobilized energy citizenship as a part of the project itself over the last few years, and then what does this mean for energy citizenship in the future. And so there are two things we're going to be talking about during this presentation only. One is the Changemaker's Guide to the Energy Transition, a playbook that we developed as within the project, and another is the interactive platform, which you've already heard Vasilis mention before about how we plan to make available the modeling results and also the findings from the energy citizenship typology work. For those of you who are online, and also those of you who are here, we don't have the hard copies, unfortunately, right here with us, but if you use the QR code, you're able to yourself scan through all of the book itself. So what this playbook was a result of was learnings and also a methodology that we applied within the scope of the ENCLUDE Academy. The ENCLUDE Academy was an international also online 6-month leadership development program. And also we have in the audience 2 very important people who helped us develop the academy, 3. We have also Vanya, we have Nelly, and also Benoit, members of the Mission Publique who are very instrumental in helping us develop the methodology for this approach. And we also have a member who will be our discussants for this session, Cornelius Chenchen, who was actually a former ENCLUDE Academy participant, and we also have online Sam Udong, who has also joined us. So this academy, the idea was we go through a methodology linking up together design thinking and systems thinking for the purpose that by the end of the academy, the participants themselves will be able to initiate and realize a project of their own thinking, based on insights they have about their own communities. And the belief of this particular academy is that bottom-up initiative, and that the energy transition, to realize it, really begins with our ability to see our own responsibility, but also agency in the places where we live. And so this place-based understanding of making change, this place-based understanding of transformation, and this belief that really, in order for large-scale change to happen, that it really needs to be seeded by catalysts all over the world and also in each of our communities, is the belief behind this methodology. And as you see here on this particular slide, it's just a very simple series of 5 steps that is called design thinking methodology. The version that we use really stems from the D School in Stanford University. And it basically leans on the ability for each of us to recognize what's actually going on in the places where we are that isn't working, and identifying what we called bugs. And we led participants through a way of thinking in such that they can recognize what the actual problem is in their community in relation to the energy transition. So it really banks on the critical thinking of people themselves, so that they are not only following what policymakers tell them is the problem. It's not only what policymakers tell them what our solution is to solving the problem, but it really relies on citizens themselves to think for themselves. Why is this a problem for me? What is the need connected to myself in relation to this bigger goal? And what is the role that I can actually play that benefits not only society at large, but what are my interests at stake? And what might be the interests of my neighbors? And how do I bring all these interests together? So these complex ways of thinking about problem solving that we usually rely on policymakers to do, this methodology really puts it on the shoulders of people themselves to think, hey, look, there is a way in which we can problem solve together in a room with joint problem framing. And so these are just going to be some images I'm showing you of the playbook itself. And the idea is that if you have the playbook in hand, you're able to, either yourself or with a group of your neighbors or your friends, able to yourself identify what's actually happening where I am, what change do I actually want to be a part of, and how do we do that? And so the idea is that if you go through the playbook, it gives you a step-by-step way of walking through all of the steps that we think might be helpful for you in order to arrive at a problem, and then brainstorm a solution, and then prototype that solution, and then be able to test it with other people outside the group that you actually discussed the initial problem with. And so this is a self-contained system, let's say, for anybody to get started with change on the ground. And a lot of this is also informed by the understanding of who an energy citizenship is within ENCLUDE, and also understanding systems connections within the energy transition. What are the relevant information that the participants need to have about energy itself in order to get started? And the playbook itself also was a result of discussing with our ENCLUDE Academy participants about what was difficult for them as they were using the methodology, in order so that we collected some of these tips that they had, and we also offered some tips for what happens when you're trying to go through this methodology and how you actually face the obstacles of realizing project ideas as you're in the real world. So we just hope that if you took the QR code, you can find that playbook on the ENCLUDE website, and that we would love your feedback, whoever you are, if you want to try out the playbook. It's already taken off a bit in terms of outside the scope of ENCLUDE. So for the future of energy citizenship from our side, based on this particular output, is that it's going to be featured in the COP29 in Azerbaijan, and especially with the support of the UN Youth for Capacity group within the UN. And I think the tagline that we took away from this experience of developing the playbook and running the academy is that no one is too small to make a difference. The playbook is not only putting responsibility on energy citizens to do something, but it's really the agency to do so. The idea that there is a sense to self-efficacy and also collective efficacy in making the change that we want to see in the world. So that is just a little bit of the playbook, and I'll turn it over to George to talk a little bit about another output that we have in ENCLUDE.
Yes, thank you so much, Bin. And again, I want to stress this because as long as also this discussion is now the future about energy citizenship, it's a very big success to have the playbook in the COP29 and to also give it a new life through the UN. So it's a very big step. I'm going to talk a bit more about the platform, and my name is George Xaxakis. I'm coming from Holistic Greece, and working a bit more on the consumer side of this research, because the difficult point of these projects is that there's a lot of nice work coming in, but sometimes it's not picked up later on by stakeholders. So what we try to do with this platform is to make a way for people to find information in an easy way. And the initial idea of this platform was that it would be an ENCLUDE platform, right? So just for the project. But what we realized, and we have done also research with policymakers about how they use such platforms, is that they will not use a platform that is not updated later on, or that is just very narrow and specific on something that a project could do in these years. So what we want to do, and that's how it became energycitizenship.eu, so you can find it, it's already online, is to make a collection of all the resources we had for energy citizenship from sister projects. So these are among ENCLUDE, is dialogues, is squared, energy prospects, and collect all the information in this kind of like knowledge base that we called energycitizenship.eu. The idea is that this could be something that continues later on, and it becomes a one-stop shop of information about the topic. And among us, we have also Stefanos Chotras, that he was the main developer from Holistic on this, and of course, everyone from the consortium that provided the content. Moving on, this aspect that I was mentioning is a knowledge base, so it provides links to all the information. You have heard about the playbook, also a policy brief that we have created with sister projects. But we also try to make this a bit more interactive and try to approach different audiences. Like, for example, the information about the expressions of energy citizenship that was in the first presentation from Niall. We try to make it a bit more accessible through interactive menus and easy ways to find these expressions. Of course, it's still information that might be a bit more towards academics, but it could also work for other audiences that want to learn a bit more about who are these, who are we talking about when we talk about energy citizenship. Second, we try to make a map of all, because there was a lot of work, as you have heard in the first session, about collective energy initiatives, energy communities, other like collectives that work with energy, and we try to map them all across Europe. And but there are a lot of platforms that do that in the EU bubble, if I may say, but what we try to do here is also bring a bit the context, bring quotes from the different places there, bring also their challenges, their success stories, everything that would give a bit more of a context to someone that want to start such a collective energy initiative, or to policymakers that want to support such collectives. Then, as was said in the previous section, there was a lot of work with modeling, and we try to convert it with the help of our colleagues into a kind of like a workspace that through policy and research questions you can guide through the results. So it's not, let's say, because all this, of course, will be published as scientific papers, but this might not be accessible to non-experts. So we try to make it a bit more accessible and provide really the question of, okay, how this will be useful. Here could be like, what are the driving factors and impacts of citizen initiatives, like 3 specific ones to help understand how they can be supported to grow in the future. And then, of course, we also have we try to show other aspects, like the wider impacts of citizen-led transitions, again, from the modeling work. And this is a bit more towards policymakers, but the whole point, again, here is that it could be something useful and accessible for them to understand. And now we come to the future of the platform. With this, I will close. And this is always a difficult question, because what happens with these platforms usually, it's like that after the project ends, they are stopped supported and they practically die. And what we want to do with this platform, and that's why we also implemented content from other projects and make different collaborations to help it keep running, is to find ways to make this continue. The platform will continue at least for 5 years, like through other projects we have found that can support it. But we are also looking for other projects, like a model here. It's the climate change mitigation.eu platform that is supported by all the time new projects. But also other initiatives like GRC has this excellent energy and industry geography lab tool that collects all GIS information about energy in one portal, and that's something that we can maybe feed our results there. And of course, it can, like the platform can play an academic role into a future version of the ENCLUDE Academy, which is a possibility also thanks to this collaboration with the UN and the COP29. Yeah, that's it from my side, and thank you for your attention. Looking forward for the discussion.
Thanks, George. So now we turn it over. We want to spend a good amount of time also to give the word over to 2 past participants of the ENCLUDE Academy. to reflect on also their view both of energy citizenship and their experiences as going through some of these experiences as a part of ENCLUDE. So we have two people. One, of course, you see here, Cornelius Chinchin. He is here in person, and then Sam Odong, based in Uganda, who is a hydropower engineer, is online. Who will also, so I'll go to Cornelius since he's here with us. Cornelius, I'll turn over the stage to you. Anything that you want to have questions about or to reflect on your experience, please go ahead.
Hi. Um, like you had, my name is Cornelius Chen. I am a master's student actually at the University of Cape Town, and still I'm Ugandan. And being part of the Include Academy was kind of a remarkable journey because back then at undergrad, you would hear these scenarios of like, there used to be this gentleman. He was a bit aged, like in our class, and we had this thing about lifelong learning. I used to laugh about the whole term lifelong learning. I used to think that it's kind of like for all the persons being in a class say that they're not really meant to be, like for example if they're upgrading and they took the long path, and then after graduating, and then you realize that there's still more that you could actually do in terms of getting involved in programs that kind of like give you more, knowledge. And so the whole time about lifelong learning. And I recall I saw the call, let's say for Include, and I took part to apply because I was kind of motivated. And then, I got into the program, and then there was this whole a lot of activities that we did, and they were really enriching. From just the word Include itself, if you told someone out there, it's kind of captivating in the way that someone just hears Include and is like, what is that? And then you tell them what it was really part of. And I recall being part of this whole thing, and then getting involved in the various activities. Because of the time difference in Uganda, we would always have activities. I think at around about 6 Ugandan time, and so you're back from work, and then you realize that you had this thing that you always have like a reminder, and you have to participate with all these other cronies all together in some, because you would have like a um, like the evening activities whereby you're back at home and you're not really wanting to do anything else, but then you committed yourself to the 6-month program, which was really enriching. And I recall there used to be scenarios where we started to deal with activities that was like, been talked about, the design thinking that I did not know. It was, this whole thing that was iterative, that it's not like, you say that I am going from 1 to 2. No, sometimes you might go to 3 and then come back to 1, and again later on this whole interactive process. And for me, that was something that really gave so much to my knowledge as well, because it's helping me in my own day-to-day life as well, and in terms of like making decisions, and and for me it was really a remarkable and very good experience for me, really.
Thank you, Cornelius. Could you talk also about the project a little bit? I know we'll have a little bit of chance for Cornelius to talk more about the project that he developed as a part of the Include Academy. But while we have you here on stage, perhaps you want to say just a little bit something about the outcome of joining the Academy and the project itself that you've developed.
Oh yeah. So I recall the first time I submitted a certain idea that I had for my community, and then there was this whole lots of questions, and and then you realize that, oh no, I think I need to go back down, discuss with the people. Like they say, you emphasize something, but sometimes you doing it alone without getting to involve the other persons of, let's say, the community. It's not like the one way that you can try to find like solutions to something. It's like you empathize, okay, and then maybe get back to them and really find out what are the underpinnings of this certain issue that you're trying to raise, and maybe also incorporate those into the whole problem that you're trying to discuss. Because like I recall there's some person that said that developing the problem is the whole thing that you need to really emphasize. Solutions are always there. but the problem and making sure that it really catches the other people or the people that you might want to try to have solutions for later on. And I later on got to develop my project that was, I termed it as hybrid forest. And so in this case, we're trying to look at a way that we can try to decarbonize, but in a way that you're trying to plant trees in a way, and in the same way, you're kind of trying to encourage, decarbonization, like capturing carbon dioxide emissions using both the trees and also the process called enhanced weathering. I know some other companies such as Future Forest as well. I'm sure they're in Europe, they're doing so much well, are already employing some of these things. And that's the project that I got to develop. And I started in a pilot study in a way that I just want to try to get data that might be efficient, good for me to actually go on with the project later on. It was one of the good things that actually came out of the project, the ENCLUDE Academy. But then the other, the big one, I would say all of them are big, was when I used to share all these experiences with my academic professors and whatnot, and then I was telling him about the ENCLUDE Academy, and then there is a program in Eastern Africa, or let me just say Sub-Saharan Africa, whereby the kind of head of institutions are able to pick out some of the students that they think are able to make, can I just say, to make something great out of, let's say, the nomination or whatever. And it's a program at Dartmouth University, and they pick out about 8 to 12 students every year. And now if like you get nominated by the dean, because I was already telling him how the ENCLUDE Academy went, the 6 months of learning. And so we got into this remote study that is called the techno-economic analysis in the context of developing countries. So you look at the projects that are out there, or no matter whether they're out there, or even just those ones that you're actually doing, and then try to look at the financiability of how you can just turn something, not just from a bit of talking or being just an activist, to something that would really be kind of a generating income in a way. So you're looking at projects not just in the aspect of problem and solution, but then looking at different processes that happen in these projects, and then trying to turn this into something that could really be financiable. Yeah.
Thanks, Cornelius. Thanks for sharing your experience. And then I'd like to turn the screen over to Sam Udong, another one of our participants. Sam, would you like to introduce yourself, and welcome?
Hello, everyone. I hope you're getting me clearly.
Yes, we hear. Thanks.
My name is Sam Udong. As Bidmin Ayaron said, I'm a Ugandan, and currently I'm under the project of construction of hydropower plant. That is the Simba hydropower plant here in Uganda. That is already green energy, where this is part of our target. We're transitioning to green energy. So literally, I want to first apologize. I couldn't make it in person, yet I was already given an invite and all that due to some unavoidable circumstances and all that. But all is well. We're here. Maybe to give my insights about the academy. Actually, we apply, me and other colleagues of mine, but for them they stopped on the way. We applied it jokingly. We saw it on social media and all that when they were recruiting people and all that. And other people gave up because of their schedules of work and all that. You come from work, then you have a session later on just once in a week, but it's hard to adhere to it and all that. So, but earlier on, I picked interest because it was so insightful. It helped me understand the issues really affecting the energy transition. And I realized that most of us focus more on the economic aspect of energy transition, yet it's not the right thing. It's also good. It's a right point, but ENCLUDE helped me understand that the road to transition is beyond that. We look at the political aspect, you have to look at the cultural aspect and all that. So you realize, maybe to give an example, the hybrid forest, actually I'm helping Chenchen conduct it down this side because the one who is at home, for him is at school. People looked at Chenchen's project as something useless to the community and all that, because you realize the eucalyptus trees that were planted literally make the land barren. The grass under the trees will be no more. But after we used the unwanted rock in the quarrying, that is basalt and all that, we grind and all that, we applied it on the surface. Literally, the grass has now grown back, and people are using it for grazing animals now, actually. So in the long run, ENCLUDE really helped us to understand a lot of things affecting the project. And also, maybe I was also told, we also discussed a lot, and I was able to come up with a project idea, like a mini biogas system for household use. Actually, through ENCLUDE, I was given some funds, and I implemented the project. I developed one project for actually a woman who lost her husband like 2 years back, but she had everything. She had all the raw materials and all that. So after we conducted our survey and all that, we picked her up and then helped her. Right now, she's the most happiest. But I'm eating chicken on behalf of ENCLUDE. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. But really, maybe looking forward to the energy, energy citizenship. Maybe we need to focus more on research. I know most of the research things have been talked about here. That's where you find you come up with a project idea, yet down that side, people are not appreciating it. But literally, we need to come up with research, look into dig into deep into very many aspects. Most things which affect is the cultural aspect and all that. You realize these people are used to the most traditional ways, which are not sustainable for our journey to the green energy. Maybe another thing is looking forward is the target market. We need to, as creating the leaders, we need to look at the people who understand the transition, who will help other people, who will educate other people, who will educate the community. And literally, I realized people who understand are literally people who have gone to school. These are people who understand the transition. These are people who want to go to the green energy. And then maybe another thing is the projects. We need to come up with something tangible, something people should feel that this is the right way to move. Like my biogas project, I feel it is a tangible project that the community has appreciated. Even the neighbors now contact me, and then they want me to construct them a biogas project and all that, because they feel this has saved them. A woman cannot move away from her home to go and look for firewood for long distances and all that. A woman will have more time for other economic activities and all that. So we need to focus also on tangible projects that people can easily appreciate. Maybe another thing is the focus on energy production. And this goes hand in hand with research and all that. We need to look at projects that are cheap and affordable and help us do the decarbonization aspect and all that, and in the long run benefit the community. I think I've exhausted. Maybe if someone has a question or
Yes.
something else to ask.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you so much for that very comprehensive reflection from your perspective. I just want to say that I think both Cornelius and Sam are examples of people. I mean, we can't expect everyone to be as inspiring and have put so much of their personal efforts behind the energy transition. But I think if the two of them exist, we can have hope that there's a lot more of you out there, and what little we can do and include to support these energy citizens, we need to do more of in the future. So thank you for inspiring us, Sam and Cornelius. It hasn't been easy, but thank you very much for being a part of ENCLUDE as well. So yeah, let's give them a hand of applause. And we are slightly behind schedule, but if there would be one question from the audience, or there's, yeah, so there's one comment and then there's a question, Matthijs. Yeah. Who has the question? I'm sorry.
Cheers. So I wanted to ask you. So you're both highly educated. You're students, and then you went through this process and started to become entrepreneurs or start piloting stuff. Do you think the handbook, and in the end, to realize things, you have to have a different mindset than as a researcher or learning something. Do you feel that this process helped you to make that transition from the analysis to become confident and in actually creating tangible things? I think most research projects would dream of having an impact like I eat chicken because of thanks to ENCLUDE.
I think so. Like I studied that. You know, you always used to just let's say, for example, you're doing a small design project at uni, right? They tell you that specifically these are the bounds, and then you must provide the solution to that. And so you specifically focus on this thing, but obviously in the outside world, it's a different thing altogether. So I recall I used to get involved in hackathons, and then most of the time when when they get to ask me a lot of questions, I slack and I'm like, I'm not going to continue with this hackathon simply because there's like a lot that is being asked of me. But now, in this case, remember, we were all in the ENCLUDE Academy, obviously focusing on energy-related projects. So you're kind of getting the mind specifically from persons that know what they're doing and know also, what things could obviously end up with. And I would say, I mean, the confidence came really to some greater extent, and I was really able to defend myself most of the time, even when I got involved in other hackathons and later on as part of my whole development and whatnot. But also just I wanted to add some stuff on the whole looking ahead and going forward with this. I mean, even after the project is done, as much as Sam has talked about some very many, but then I think for me, this whole thing, for example, when I said that you get involved in this TEA analysis of projects, I think is really a very good way, because even after they include, let's say, the whole academy got done, like let's say we got done with the course and the whole learning, there was still more that I could do. And I mean, getting into this TEA at Dartmouth University, I think one of the prestigious universities, was really a good one. And more in terms of achievements, I do have some stuff that from that same project as well. I will go to Kenya, I think, in the next 1 month to do some assessment of some bio-based projects that was like still, when as you continue to perform very well, include being the first step, you go to Mouth, and now you still performed very well, and then they still say that no, I think we should take him to still come and do some assessment of some of these projects. Yeah.
Thank you, Cornelius. So I'm glad that I think we're all glad ENCLUDE is the first step, and I hope there's many more steps to come for both of you. Thank you so much for your time. We're now, and thank you for being with us. We're now going to close briefly until 11:30 or so for a coffee break. Those of you online, please come back also at 11:30. We'll be back online then. And so those of you here, we have some coffee out there, and see you back soon. Thank you so much.